I think what I'm so excited about Pointers Ridge is the fact that you can go there and relax and recharge and be with other artists.
I think it would have a tremendous impact on the creative generation that we might be seeing coming out of the Sioux Empire, because you would have then a space that all artists could go to, and I think it could be this place of incubation where artists can go and talk to each other, and it becomes sort of this meeting ground, or this point of genesis where we can go and talk and retreat, and we have a focal point.
There's been a really neat push in Sioux Falls in the last few years to upgrade our parks. I think there's been a push to have live music happen in those parks on regular nights of the week and stuff, and I think Sioux Falls has really enjoyed the fact that that happens. My main push would be that it seems to be a pretty solid, proven idea that when arts are added to a community and things that facilitate art is added to a community, the community's happier.
I think Pointers Ridge could cause visual artists and musicians to interact in a way that currently doesn't happen in Sioux Falls. Like even at the pavilion, they're in starkly different wings. Like you pay a different admission to go into the visual center. And there doesn't need to be that big wall between those two disciplines.
When I lived in Green Bay, Wisconsin, the clearing was close by. So I naturally gravitated to that. It would be so great to have such a place as the retreat at Pointers Ridge.
You're so raw, I think, when you're in that environment. It's like a thirsty sponge, and you're just thirsty. You're there to learn, so your sensories are keen. And so everything around you, I think, affects you so much more. And then being able to have that quiet time, too, to reflect and digest what you've learned and experienced, I think, is the whole holistic experience of being in a place like Pointers Ridge.
We have Walden, for sure. Thoreau couldn't have written on Walden Pond without going to a place like the retreat at Pointers Ridge. But there are other masterpieces that are out there, like Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. No one thinks about that, but that was a type of retreat. She and several other people were stuck in this castle. The weather was terrible outside, so they had a writing competition. And she wrote Frankenstein. And that happened in 4 days in a confined place surrounded by other writers, and when she finished it, she gave it to them and said, "What do you think?" And they were just blown away, and this is why we remember Mary Shelley today. She wrote one of the first great novels of the 19th century.
Yes, there's numerous examples of pop groups or jazz groups going out into the woods to record, and there are some very famous studios that have existed to accommodate that because, again, you get rid of the distractions. It's common sense and it works. But there's also classical composers do this all the time. They go create some of their best work without any isolation. Gustav Mahler had a house where he would write his symphonies. That's what he would do there, or a cabin, and maybe my favorite example is Dvorak coming to Iowa and shacking up in a cabin for a couple years and writing maybe his best known work, writing Symphony from the New World.
I think one of the bigger impacts of an artist retreat is having young lives affected by it. I think of how many people are talented in a field and maybe don't know where to go with it, or to be able to talk to another person that has that same interest, and being able to make that connection. Having a retreat locally would be a connecting point from artist to artist, and I think there is like an unwritten word about artists helping artists, no matter what the field is. I mean, they do kind of form their own community.
We'd love to stay there. We love to, that type of being around each other with enough space but not too much space actually helps breed the chemistry musically, because when you're personally invested with people and when you're at nighttime and you're relaxing and before you go to sleep and you're having a conversation, that's when you really get to know somebody, and it's amazing how that carries over into how you play music with them.
It's the reclamation of something that now is no longer operable. It's fallen into disrepair. Whenever that happens, whether it's downtown with lofts or with reimagining businesses or artistic communities thriving where there once was a bank that's out of business, whatever it is, whenever you reclaim space like that, I just tend to think about what's possible. So I'm all for it.
What lasts from a period is the art. And if this area of the world wants to have their voice told throughout the ages, I mean, a place like the retreat at Pointers Ridge really needs to be funded, because the writers, the painters, the musicians, the artists, they're the ones that will be putting the footprint of this time into time, because art is what lasts. Everything else tends to fall away.